My first demo will be about the basics. So the goal of the demo is to show how you can do the initial steps, how you can run tests, and how you can configure them to be executed. So let's see how this can be done. For this demo, I will use the Bookshop application. I hope that you know the Bookshop more or less. It's not so tricky. It's a simple web application which is about a simple online bookshop. You can search for books, you can add them to the shopping cart, and I think that's all what you can do. And Bookshop is also covered with SpecFlow tests. There is this Bookshop acceptance tests project where you have the feature files, and inside the feature files there are the scenarios. These are pretty much similar than the ones you have as well if you are using SpecFlow. Right now this project is fully configured for SpecFlow, actually with the MS Test Runner, but it knows nothing about SpecRun yet, because I wanted to show you how the installation can be done really from scratch. As you have seen, the installation is done through NuGet. You have seen that this is the easiest and the most convenient way to set up such tools. So whenever the official NuGet package will be online, you can just say install package and say SpecRun. And don't forget to set the project or with the default project or the project name settings. Right now I have a local NuGet repository, that's why it is also working for me. As you see, we have a dependency on SpecFlow 171. Right now this is the version that SpecRun can support. Okay, that's all. Basically the installation has been done. If you open the app config, what you can see is that unfortunately NuGet is not able to replace elements, but just to add to it. But right now, instead of the MS test, it has added a special SpecRun unit test provider. As I have mentioned, this SpecRun is actually a special unit test provider for SpecFlow. So I need to regenerate my files, and let's make a compilation just to make sure that I didn't screw up anything. Okay. So actually we are ready to run SpecFlow scenarios. And the first thing that I wanted to show you is something, this is a little bit unfair because you don't have the SpecFlow beta bits yet, but this will also come soon with the SpecFlow 1.8. Actually in the new SpecFlow version there will be some very interesting features like this run SpecFlow scenarios and deploy SpecFlow scenarios from the context menu. And actually this is somehow context sensitive, so whatever scenario I'm right now standing on, this will execute that scenario. And this is already prepared for SpecRun. So if you have SpecRun configured for the project, then actually this execution will use SpecRun for that, what you can see. Actually it has opened a new output pane, and it was executing this title should be matched scenario successfully. And what you can also see is actually what happened in the background. There is an exe that called specrun.exe that was executed with some special argument. Actually, this tool is this console application is the heart of SpecRun. This is the entry point of executing SpecRun scenarios. But you can also see that in the output it has reported a link for a report. In SpecRun, the HTML report is somehow a first-class citizen, so you immediately get it. You don't need to configure anything else. You don't need to add an additional step to have that. And actually, that's how it looks, at least for this simple scenario. Probably that's not so interesting. But I have another one prepared. I on purpose left some errors even in there. And this is actually the execution report of SpecRun itself. So this is how it looks. It shows already the parallel executions. You see a timeline summary where each test was executing each time, and you also see some feature summary. There is an error summary that just to be able to quickly jump to the failing one, and you can really easily jump to the concrete details of the scenario and see what happens in detail. What you can see in this detailed trace is that SpecRun is also able to separate the business trace, which is this first column, from the tech trace, actually probably there will be some hide button later as well, which is quite important because this is what the business is interested in, and this is probably what the developers are interested in. And what you can also see that SpecRun is also able to detect the status of each individual step. So we are just not taking the entire test as it is to failure or succeeding, but you can also see for each individual step what happened with that. Good. As I said, I was tricking you a little bit by showing this context menu. Right now you don't have yet that, but you can first of all execute the tests through the same exe that the Visual Studio integration was also doing. And actually, to simplify that, the NuGet package was also added in runtest.cmd, a very simple command line utility, which is not doing anything else but just compiling your project and run the tests from it. So I can just show you how this works. I just say run tests. It compiles my project, and now it starts running my tests. Actually, right now the bookshop is configured to do control level testing, so it was pretty fast. And what you can see is that there is some live progress report how the things are done. The coloring and the letter is saying that so S means success. You can also see the reference for the generated report file and so on, and some basic summary. Good. So this is how you can run it from the command line. However, probably if you are currently using SpecFlow, and let's say you are using MS-Test or NUnit, then probably you use some test runners like the built-in Visual Studio test runner or the ReSharper test runner to run your test and browse the test tree. We currently don't have such a tree in Visual Studio, but we feel that this ReSharper or Visual Studio test run browsing was a quite good experience. So actually, to overcome that, we are also providing a special generator provider, so not just the simple SpecRun generator, but instead of the SpecRun generator, you can say SpecRun generator with MS-Test or NUnit, if you are using NUnit. And if you are regenerating all the feature files, then what you will see is that in the generated classes and methods, they will be not only attributed with the feature attribute, which is one attribute from SpecRun, but they will also attribute it with the MS-Test attribute, so basically kind of double attribution, double annotation, so that if I compile, I will be able to browse and run also my tests from my unit test runner. Of course, then you will not have all the features of SpecRun, but for individual pick and run kind of scenarios, this can be quite useful. The second thing that I wanted to show you or maybe the third, in this first demo is how to configure the execution for SpecRun. We have seen that for running a test, there are usually many things have to be configured, and to keep everything together, SpecRun defines a term called profile. Actually, you can create such profiles as many as you want. And one profile is describing a testing scenario, how you want to run your tests in your application. The NuGet package has created a default SR profile. This default SR profile is used if you don't specify any other. And actually, this is a simple XML file. The only bonus is that you have also provided an XSD file, so you have some simple IntelliSense as well. So at least you don't have to remember all the element or attribute names inside this XML file. Without going into the details of what else you can do in the profile, I just wanted to highlight two things. One is this test assembly path list. Actually, the interesting is that you are not limited to put only one assembly into a profile, but you can also put multiple assemblies. And this way you can distribute, if you have a big test set for your application, you can split them up into smaller projects and still run them together at once and providing and have a consolidated report which contains the test from all different assemblies. The second thing that I wanted to show is that I think the most common thing that you want to do if you are running tests, you want to do filtering. So you can also specify some filter expression here. For example, you can just create a profile which is running the tests from your current sprint. The filter is simple expression kind of stuff, so you can say foo and not bar. So this kind of expressions you can use here. And just to show you this, let's imagine that right now our sprint is about the shopping cart. So the shopping cart is somehow marked with the current sprint. Let's filter this profile for the scenarios inside the current sprint. And whenever I'm running this once again, what we should see hopefully is that instead of the 13 tests, we are just executing 5. So actually, this way I have created a profile which can be easily executed for the scenarios within the same sprint. Yes, so this was basically the first demo. What I try to show you is how you can install SpecRun with the NuGet package. I also showed you how you can execute the tests in different ways. And what I try to highlight is how you can group test configurations into so-called testing profiles that are very useful to organize your test execution types.